Hey, welcome back everyone. Eli Montague here again from the WTBA. As promised, I'm here to talk to you about the pros and cons of this type of headgear, full face headgear versus gloves. Which one should you use for your fighting practice? So this is a continuation of the last video I just put up where I was talking about the different ways you can practice proper fighting. Right, so what I finished off saying in my last video is that my father, Earl Montague, he used this type of thing to protect the head, the face, to pressure test when he was going rough. Whereas I personally prefer using an MMA sparring glove to do the same thing. So why do I change to this? Why have I changed to this when Earl Montague used to use this? This is what I'm going to talk to you about. Pros and cons of each one. They both work fantastically. They both have a lot of good points, they both have some bad points, but for me, this one comes out on top. If you're only going to choose one, this one comes out on top. I use this for some specific training, but this for the sort of day-to-day general training. So firstly, why didn't Dad use these? Well, I think the main reason is they didn't exist. Back when he was doing his proper rough training, when he taught fighting, of course, in his older years, he was doing, just works. He didn't have a club anymore. He just did weekend workshops. Generally speaking, when you're just doing weekend workshops, you're just doing drills and training methods, forms, and that's what he was teaching. He never taught free fighting. He never taught sparring, any of that kind of stuff at those workshops. He had it on his older videos, and he always said, you can look up those older videos, but this is what I'm teaching now, that kind of thing. So yeah, this kind of glove, as far as I know, didn't exist back in the 80s. Smaller types, something more sort of similar to that, did exist. Some kind of mixed martial arty type glove did exist back then, but there's hardly no padding on that, and it doesn't offer that much protection, so the head guard could be deemed better than using this. But yeah, nothing with like full boxing glove style padding, but open hand. Those kind of things didn't exist back then, so he didn't have access to this. I reckon if he was still alive today, and I showed him this and said, come on, let's have a try, let's see how they go, I reckon he would have said yes to these. My dad and I generally, 99% of the time, when it came to the martial art stuff, we saw eye to eye on just about everything. So yeah, I make that assumption based on that, based on my relationship with him, since I trained with him all the time. We lived together up until, I think, it was only about 1 year before he died that I actually got my own place. So before that, I was living with him. I was basically with him 24/7, and we trained a lot. So yeah, I think I've got a pretty good position to say that I think he would have gotten on board with the use of this type of glove. Okay, so pros and cons. Let's do the pros of this one first. One massive pro, if you can see, I'm still wearing my glasses. Glasses are fine, okay? You can wear glasses with these. That's a big pro if you need to wear glasses, right? So yeah, that is a massive benefit of this. The other benefit is, of course, it completely frees up your hands. There's no restrictions on my hands whatsoever, so I can spar like that and there's nothing on my hands. That's lovely. The other thing is you can do palm strikes and finger strikes to the face with no injury to myself. So that's really nice. Whereas with the glove, of course, if you wanted to do a palm strike, there's no padding on the palm, so you're going to have to do it very gently. And of course, same thing, well, obviously, you can't use your fingers if there's nothing covering your eyes. So a very, very useful tool overall. But now let's go into the cons. The biggest con is that it's only here that has the added protection. The sides, there's a tiny bit of padding sort of there across your temple, but barely anything at all. And yeah, around your ears and stuff, there's not much. The back of your head, there's barely nothing there at all, apart from just the strap. So, and of course your neck's open, yeah. So essentially, you can go harder, you can punch harder and get more realism happening to the face, but you've still got to really limit the power going through to any other region of the body, especially the head and neck region. It's a big bubble, right? I personally don't like sparring
with a big bubble on my head. It's just uncomfortable. I don't like having it on my head. Plus the other thing is, yes, it protects your face, the superficial, eyes, nose, mouth, that kind of thing, better than anything else. However, now it does actually protect your neck better than nothing, whereas other headgears don't. I've already done a full review about this. There's another video about that, but just to show you, see that? It's got give. It actually gives. Other full face masks, whether it be your bar style, the face saver ones like from boxing, or the full sort of cage type ones, when you get hit in the front of those, it's solid on your head. And it actually causes more neck jarring and brain shock than getting hit without it. So that's a real good benefit of this. However, I would still say, comparatively to the glove, this still hurts my neck and my head a little bit more with the same pressure of a strike compared to if I get hit with the glove. So superficial damage is less on the face, but head and neck is a little bit worse than with the glove. Also, the bubble is, I don't know, I think I measured it once. I think it was about 4 inches or so away from my face, away from the tip of my nose. So other parts of your face, it's even further. So it's a big distance barrier. This means you get hit a lot more. Whenever I spar with this, I find I'm taking punches twice as much as when I'm sparring with the gloves on. Not only the distance thing, but I just feel a little bit sort of almost disorientated having this thing on my head all the time. I guess if I tried it more, maybe I'd get used to it, but the distancing thing is still there. He can reach me so much more easily. Plus, if anything comes from a side shot, it's like there's a lever on the end of your face, and so it'll wrench your head across when you get hit on the side. So that's a big negative as well. The last thing, of course, is you don't experience physically getting hit in the face. So if you've never been hit in the face, this is what I talked about in the last video, you need to condition yourself to that shock, at least to some degree. So this totally takes that away. And the first time you get punched properly on the nose, you're probably going to get all dizzy and not know what to do. Okay, now the pro points of the sparring MMA glove. Okay. Please note, before I start, not all sparring MMA gloves are built equal. There are some that I've tried which look very similar to this, and they even maybe sometimes come from decent brands, but I've put them on my wife and I said, okay, punch me in the head. Boom! Oh, that's not nice. And then she puts this one on and I'm like, poof. Yeah, you can do that again. So there's a big difference depending on the different brands. The two that I've found to be the best are the Venom Challenger 3.0. I've done a whole review of those. And I'm just now starting to use the Combat Sports Sparring MMA glove, or MMA sparring glove. I haven't used it enough yet to come to a conclusion. I'll put out a separate video where I compare these to those. So that'll be another thing. But yeah, you've got to get good ones. You've got to get ones that absorb. They absorb pressure correctly. Effectively, some of them are too soft, so they just compress when you hit them. Other ones are too hard, so they don't compress at all, in which case you're still getting hit by a pretty solid thing, so it still shocks your brain around. So the biggest pro to a glove like this is you can hit all targets with more power than you would with an empty hand. You can still use your palm, you can still use your hammer palm, your knife edges, you can still use all the other parts of the hand, but your main weapon, which is going to generally be your punching, you can hit all the bodily targets a little bit harder. You still got to go easy with things like the neck, but you can still hit it harder than you would with a bare fist. So that's a massive pro point compared to the headgear. The glove causes less shock, less of this type of shock, neck and head, compared to the headgear. And you'll probably find that you get hit less. So not only does this absorb the power more, so you get less damage when you're training, but you physically get hit less because you don't have such a big target.
Your head's a lot bigger when you're wearing one of those, so it's much easier to hit someone in those. You'll find when you're punching with this, it's more realistic because you can miss more easily. He's only got to move like that and you miss. With that thing on, he might do the same movement and you still hit him, so he still gets his head whipped around. Overall, I find these less restrictive to the training. Obviously, these technically restrict my hands more, that restricts my head more, but overall, when I wear that, I don't enjoy the training as much. I feel restricted for lots of different things. When I wear this, yeah, technically your hand's a little restricted, but I feel fine. I don't mind, I really don't mind having these on my hands compared to having bare hands. Plus another benefit, you're less likely to hurt your hand. How often have you been training with someone and you go for a body shot and you punch someone in the elbow or something? And you bust a knuckle and you've got a really sore hand, and sometimes you can't even train for a little while. So that's a good pro point as well. On the other hand, you don't want to get complacent about it and start just swinging punches in without care. So that's actually a negative of the glove. The glove can allow you to get a false sense of security and start swinging punches where you could be damaging your hand. So you've still got to say to yourself, no, you've got to train in a sense that you pretend like you're not wearing the glove. So if you hit an elbow, boom, go, oh, geez, yep, I've got to really be careful of that. That would have broken my hand. Massive pro point. You can train with other people, as in other styles. What's the best way to up your own ability as a fighter? Train with different people. If you train with the same people all the time, you only know how to fight them. Okay, they can sort of do different things to a certain degree, but fighting with other people, especially from different styles, is one of the best things you can ever do for your training. So long as you're not limiting yourself too much in terms of, like, I don't know, going and only doing boxing, well then you might be blinding yourself to, forgetting that you can use elbows and knees and other things. So you've got to be careful of that as well. But overall, going down to an MMA gym, for example, saying, can I have a play around with you? Finding someone, you might have a mate who does MMA. He's going to use gloves for sparring. Everyone else uses gloves for sparring. Just about every style of martial art in the world uses gloves for sparring. The only people I know outside of us who use that face gear are I've forgotten the name. It's a certain sector of karate, and they use those specifically in their competitions. So all their sparring, everything they do, they wear that, and they don't wear gloves. So they do it that way. But everyone else wears gloves. So if you're familiar with gloves and know how to work with your gloves, it means you've got a bigger variety of people you can train with. One other thing is they're small, they're light. You can chuck them in your bag. You can have them with you all the time. It's easy to carry around, especially if you're maybe taking a flight and traveling somewhere to go and train with someone, go to a workshop. That's a bit annoying and bulky to carry around with you. So you're less likely to bring it. You might think, I don't really need it this time. And then you end up just training softly. But chuck these in your bag all the time and you've always got them with you. So that's kind of a pro point. Okay, cons for the glove. Obviously, you can't do finger strikes or palm strikes hard. You can still palm the face, but the same you would if you were doing empty-handed training, because there's no pad there. They get a little bit in the way, obviously, if you're doing any kind of small circle wrist locks, things like that. You can't. It's pretty difficult to do a wrist lock if the other guy's wearing that, so you can't really practice that. You need to do that practice when you're doing empty-handed sparring. They get in the way a little bit with general grappling, especially once you're down on the ground and your arms are wrapped up, things like that. But they still don't get in the way as much as the head guard. And just generally, your hand will feel a little bit bulky. It's a little bit restricted, so you're less inclined to do some of the more intricate techniques that you might be trained in. But of course, you can practice those intricate techniques when you don't use the gloves. Because as I said in the last video, I do some of my sparring work without gloves and just go really light, and then others if I want to go a bit heavier, well then you've got to revert to using the gloves, even if it means limiting certain other techniques you can practice. You've got to find that middle ground. So overall for me, the gloves come out on top compared to the head guard, although I still use the head guard for certain drills that I'm working with. I even use big 16-ounce boxing gloves for certain drills, specific things, but general, we're going to fight each other stuff, these for me come out on top. Now, which one you use in your training with your partner, well, of course, that's up to you. You might want to try both. You might take my advice and just say, oh, okay, well, Eli's going to do it this way. So if you're my student, you might want to just do this. If you want to invest and buy one of those, because keep in mind, I have said they're great for certain things. So it is a good idea to get one if you can. But you might find, for example, you and your training partner much prefer just using the head guard, or you might have some other way of putting pressure in without hurting each other. Keep in mind, if you're part of a group, such as the WTBA, let's say you're coming to my workshops, my classes, you're going to have to get used to these, you're going to have to use these, because if you want to properly join in with the class, because essentially everyone else will be using them. So you can't say, oh, but I prefer wearing the head guard. You can wear the head guard if you want, to stop yourself getting punched in the nose, or if you want to wear glasses, like I said, that's fine. That's up to you if you want to wear it, but you can't expect the other guy to wear it. He might not like wearing the head guard. So in my class environment, all the students are used to these. They're going to be using these. And this goes the same for any school. So you've got to obviously play along with the rule sets, not rule sets, but the way of sparring, the way of training of that club and that particular class. You can't just come in and say, no, I only do it this way. If you want to train with a certain group, you've got to train their way. But then you go home and you do your own practice, do whatever works best for you personally and your sparring partner. Okay, now what about a head guard like that? Just give you one last comparison before we sign off today. Okay, so we're assuming we're not using gloves, right? So because I'm wearing the head guard, you're not using gloves. Anywhere where there's padding, I find I can take about a similar amount of powered punch, maybe not quite as much, but similar to this, with an empty hand, this kind of thing, as with the glove. The glove I can take a bit more power. You can still put in more force for the same level of shock. But you can still hit it okay. It's all right to get punched with it. It's nothing like getting hit with just bare on the head. Plus also it's padded all the way around. There's lots of padding all over the top. There's a huge big pad on the back. So, you've got to go easy when hitting the back of the head anyway, because it's the most sensitive part of the head. But you can at least hit it to some degree, not just touch. But of course, the negative side is it's totally open in the face. Even the ones that might have the cheek sections, the eyes, the nose, it's still all open there. So what will happen then is, you might be, boom, you might put your hook punches in a little bit heavier and that kind of thing. So that's, that is an option. It means you can go harder for some of your side strikes, but you're still going to have to go really easy on your front strikes. And that, for me, is why you need either the facial guard or the glove, is the face. Because with the side of the head, as I explained in that previous video talking about the different ways of fighting, the sides, if you close your jaw, make sure you never got your jaw open when you're fighting, of course. That's all right. That's bop, that's kind of realistic enough. Yeah, but you hit me right, on the nice muscly bit of the jaw kind of thing, Whereas if you clip me just in here with a knuckle, I did this on another test, I'm not going to do it now, just that much pressure right in there behind the jaw, you want to stop playing. Nose, eyes, things like that, even just a punch to the eye, like that, punch to the nose, mouth, anywhere like that, the face is too sensitive. So you can hurt each other and train, great, if you want to hurt each other. You'll tend to find that if you don't use something to protect the face, you'll be holding back. You'll be going really, you might, whoa, punch you there, but you're being gentle. You're being really gentle with your facial strikes, and therefore you're not being very realistic about your training. And that more padded type of head guard doesn't exist with the bubble. The only bubble style ones that I've found, they all don't have much padding around the side of the head. If someone could find one of those, that'd be great. So let me know if you do find one of those, but I haven't been able to find one yet. So I hope that's given you some good insights as to which one works best. If you don't want to go out and spend lots of money, then you could take my advice and do the glove style training, or you might take what I've said here today and think, oh, actually, it sounds like I might prefer the headgear, possibly. But the best thing you can do is go out and buy both and use both for different scenarios, different ways of training. See which works best for you. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Keep training.